Hope you're double great. Today I'll be talking about some moments from episode 4 of DTF St. Louis. There are some really beautiful shots throughout this episode, but nothing that jumped out at me quite like the shots I selected today. They address themes of isolation and exhaustion in Carol's breakdown, genuine friendship in Clark and Floyd's perfect day, and a yearning for the past in Christopher's interview with Plum and Homer. I don't think there's anything to say about this cold open that hasn't been felt. Anyone who's had to deal with bills and financial troubles should be able to empathize with Carol's despair, as we see she's working weekends, clipping coupons, and turning down birthday gifts to make ends meet. After having to deal with not getting paid for her side hustle and her son's outburst, during a moment of peace, Floyd chooses this moment to be honest with her about her uniform and how it's affecting his sex drive. During her breakdown, and to add insult to injury, the true coup de grace is when the landscapers show up and drop the bill in front of her, the very ones that Floyd was supposed to cancel earlier that day. For the first time, we see what she deals with and how it's affecting her, giving us some perspective into her life and challenges. She's overwhelmed and recognized this and asked for Floyd's help, and he did not deliver on this one thing. She feels alone, unattractive, and burnt out, a devastating combination. The landscapers deliver impeccable comedic timing, but to a tragedy we spent 10 minutes watching, a memorable cold open, one I couldn't imagine seeing until now. Thematically, this sequence is a beautiful illustration of a flourishing relationship. I feel like you typically see this in a kind of montage from couples in a romantic comedy, being surrounded by nature during perfect weather and spending it with someone special. As their friendship grows, Floyd feels comfortable enough to confide in Clark regarding his troubles, his debts, and what keeps him awake at night. We witness the compassion and generosity, or guilt, depending on your perspective, that Clark has for his friend when he offers to relieve him of the financial burden of his tax debts and his stepson's schooling. All contributing factors to his stresses, and by proxy, his marriage. This stuck out to me because while it didn't appear that Floyd was asking directly for Clark's help, the cry for help was in his delivery. It makes me wonder if Clark would have offered his assistance if Carol hadn't asked. Maybe a fraction of the support, maybe not to the extent that he did in the end. We are then treated to one of the best scenes I've seen in a long time, the Thunder Boys. Motherfucking life insurance physical. I had to run this back and watch several times because I could not stop laughing and wanted to pay attention to the lyrics. I woke up this morning with this song in my head, and I know I'll continue to go through my life remembering this scene. The lyrics are great, the moment is iconic. I don't know if you can't enjoy watching something like this. A perfect end to a perfect day. The starting song playing in the background of the scene is White Room by Cream. The lyrics include themes of isolation, longing, and uncertainty, featuring fragmented imagery and broken descriptions, almost like trying to recall a dream. That sense of fading clarity is important because it sets the emotional tone for everything that follows in this scene. I believe this song choice was intentional in that it parallels perfectly with Christopher's analogy. Homer asks how everything is sexual. With this question, we learn Christopher's philosophy concerning sexuality. He explains how, in his opinion, it shouldn't be treated as separate or structured, but as something fluid and continuous, by which everything being sexual is connected in its portrayal of human life as an undivided embodied flow of desire, intimacy, and expression. It is an omnipresent layer of connection, shaping emotion and identity. Christopher possesses the mindset of rejecting the separation of sex and identity into categories, in favor of embracing desire and physical connection as the norm. When he gives an example of how this works, the idea literally stuns Homer. This segues into the tonal shift, where Christopher embraces the existential. After Jody asks what he hopes for from DTF encounters, the music stops, and Chris delivers an analogy involving recess, reminiscent of Floyd's grown-up C's speech in episode 1. That question marks the turning point in Christopher's tone. Ultimately, what Christopher does is tie the concept of recess back to his perspective of the human experience, reminiscing on the joy and rest from the hectic nature of pursuing higher education and how those brief moments of freedom dissolves from our curriculum. It's not a sudden loss. It's gradual, almost unnoticeable. You can feel how unsettling it is for him to think about in real time. He speaks about it as though trying to recall a dream, similar to the lyrical nature of White Room from earlier in the scene. This connection between memory and fading experience ties both the song and his analogy together thematically. He emphasizes that as life gets harder, the things that once gave you relief and happiness can slowly fade away unless you become aware of it. This is a great writing technique, utilizing the extended metaphor of school and youth to aid in our gradual realization. The fact these ideas come from two different people really emphasizes how important it is to hold on to these parts of childhood: joy, rest, connection, and self-awareness, instead of letting them quietly slip away as life becomes more complicated. In the end, school was never really about grades, but about what they stood for. Growing up may take the freedoms of childhood, but it also gives you the choice to create your own balance, where responsibility and joy can still exist side by side. Closing out, I thought this episode was really insightful in exploration of drastically contrasting themes, as well as character depth we wouldn't know from across the street. Walking a Mile in Amy's despair, Floyd and Clark's bringing out the best in one another, and Christopher's self-awareness and reminiscing of a time long past. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the afternoon spray.